also quoted and misquoted in a supposed document, a report from the United Nations. This document never existed. It didn't come from the United Nations. It was a report by an NGO, which is called CERD, and there was one employee of this CERD named Gay McDougall, and she provided this figure of 1 million. She provided no source and no proof for this figure of 1 million people incarcerated. There was never any proof, and there still is no proof today. So this figure came from the NED, the CIA, CERD, the World Uyghur Congress, all funded by the NED, and it came from the media themselves. This is a fictitious figure and a fictitious situation. Now, the one question that isn't asked very much by many people is why Xinjiang and Uyghur people are so important very suddenly to the West, to Western governments. You ask the question, does America, do the US government care about Uyghur people? No. Do the UK government care about Uyghur people? No, they don't. Do they care about Xinjiang? No, they don't. So why is there a big fuss, a big issue about this area and these people? Well, the reason is very simple. They don't care about these people, and they don't care about this area except for one reason. And the reason is that this area, Xinjiang, sits very squarely on something called the BRI, the Belt and Road Initiative. One belt, one road. And this is China's recreation of the ancient Silk Road, which was the single most important trade route of the world at that time. And China is recreating this, and this, of course, is a huge threat to the US government and to Europe, although it needn't be, because the Silk Road and the BRI is designed and destined to go across Eurasia and through to Europe. So it can only improve matters. What the Western governments don't like and why they hate China so much is the fact that they do not control the BRI. They can be part of it, like every other country can, but they don't control it, and this is what they hate, because they work on a principle of hegemony, which is complete control. And they can't control China, and they can't control the rise of China, and they know that Xinjiang sits squarely on the BRI, the Belt and Road Initiative, and this is why they have created a huge disinformation campaign to make China look bad, to make it look like there is an atrocity, a genocide, they say, a genocide. There is no proof of genocide, there is no proof of atrocity. All this has been debunked many times. Part of propaganda theory is something called atrocity theory. And what atrocity does is it uses witness testimony, which is very hard to disprove, because you can produce a witness who says, oh, this terrible thing happened, and if you try to dispel this, it makes you sound like some kind of a Holocaust denier, like you are denying that something happened, and you get called a denialist by saying that we don't believe this. So witness testimony and atrocity theory is a big weapon of propaganda. They say these terrible things happen. Now, propaganda appeals to this part of human nature, which is what Shakespeare called the milk of human kindness. Now, we'll give you a link to a webpage which discusses this, and I will tell you hand on heart, I too was fooled by Western propaganda. I was completely taken in some years ago by an issue in Tibet, and I believed for a moment that terrible things were happening, and I tweeted this. I tweeted some fact, and this was picked up by an organisation called the ASPI in Australia, and they pointed this out to me, and I said, well, thank you for pointing this out to me, because what you've done is revealed that anybody can be taken in by propaganda and believe the most terrible things because they are appealing to your human compassion. By appealing to your human compassion and by telling you that terrible things are happening, you want to help somehow, and so you believe. You are taken in. I was taken in, and we'll give you the addresses. You can read about this on our website. Another thing that the Western media fails completely to mention is the reasons why China and the Chinese government have had to take certain steps in Xinjiang because there have been terrorist attacks. And let's not make any mistake about this. There have been serious and terrible terrorist atrocities happen to Chinese citizens in Xinjiang. And China as a government and as a people have had to take steps to stop this problem. Now, some of these steps might seem have been spun into something else. The fact is that yes, there are education centers that help people to transcend the path of being radicalized. Now, this is recognized in every Western country. The radicalization of Muslim people, particularly, is a problem and has been a problem. It's no different in China. There is the problem in Xinjiang of people being radicalized. Now, there's a great author who I will give you a link to, Andrei Volchek, who wrote about this in some depth and where these people are going and where they come back from. They are channeled, they are radicalized, they are channeled from Xinjiang, and they're channeled through Turkey into Afghanistan, into Syria, and then back into China to commit atrocities. And China has had to stop this to protect its people. This is a fact. And there are some quite strong measures that China has had to employ. But to say there are concentration camps is a lie. To say there are 1 million people interned is also a lie. We'll provide links at the end of this video so you can go and read for yourselves. Adrian Zenz in particular has been debunked so many times and has been caught out in lying very many times as well. The figure of 1 million people comes from the media itself. It is an untruth. You have the ASPI who give what they call satellite analysis, and they take a map from Baidu or Google, and then they recreate some kind of a 3D computer-generated graphic on top and say, look, here is a concentration camp. Again, the ASPI have been seriously debunked by many people who we will give you links to, showing that they are concocting evidence in much the same way that Bellingcat concoct evidence. They are spinning situations to make it sound like something else because they are being paid to do this. I will add something here. Nobody's paying me to do this. I'm not paid by the Chinese government. I'm not a shill. I'm not paid by any government. I'm not paid by anybody to do this, to spend hours and hours every day checking things out on Twitter, to write about these things. Nobody pays me. I do this because I believe in it. And I believe that this is the time that people like myself should be speaking out and telling truth. And yeah, at this point, I'm speaking truth on behalf of China because China are being very, very unfairly represented across the world. Trust me on this. I'm not a fan of authoritarianism. I'm not a fan of impingements on my liberty. But I'm very happy in China. Very happy. I feel more free here than I do anywhere else in the world. And I've lived in the US, in Australia, in Europe, in the UK, in North Africa. And right now, I'm more free in China than anywhere else in the world. Go and read the links, go and check the links, and I will welcome any comments that you care to make. But remember, no one pays me for this. I do this for the love of doing it because I believe in what I'm saying, okay? Bye-bye. See you soon.